Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a good Friday afternoon off of work. Get the weekend started, right? So, I've been listening to this new, more or less a podcast, but he does film his interviews, and he has had some of the most decorated fighters, special force operation, military men on his show. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have served in the military. Thank you for your service if you have. Um, I never had a chance to, given the positions that I've held outside of high school and then going to college and all that. But it really hit home for me because one of my best friends, who's married my cousin, he was in the Marines, and that's when it kind of to be more became more cognizant of what the tragedies of war and what it really does to people, and not him per se. He was a Marine, but his specialty was completely off the battlefield and very, tactical for the forces that were on the ground. So, he played a huge role in what he did. But for a lot of the people before, SEAL Team 6 and all that really got started, um, people really didn't know much besides the ones who knew that they wanted to become lifers and, either the Marines, Special Forces, whether that be, Green Berets, Delta Force, Rangers, SEAL team members. Um, they knew either through their fathers, uncles, family members, lifelongers who, they were just being groomed for these positions. And I never really had, how can I put this? I never really had any idea of what these guys go through. Now, when I first got out of the music industry, my very first job, I want to say real world because working in the entertainment industry is far from the real world. But it was working at the Denver VA Medical Center, and what I did was I was a vocational rehabilitation counselor. Now, I didn't get a degree for this, but it's pretty straightforward, helping people with documented disabilities through the VA or outside entities such as every state has it, like the Division of Vocational Rehab, helping them transition into like civilian life. And we would pay them, $28 to $30 an hour to do, logistics, mailroom, patient escort, switchboard, you name it. And the thought behind it was hey, you pay high salary, you pay a high wage hourly, and a lot of these guys would get that motivation to say, hey, I want to get a job that pays this much and go outside into the real world, into the civilian world, and you would love to see them make it, and a lot of them did. And it was rewarding getting a chance to talk to the vets every day and all that, and to hear what they had gone through was just it was crazy. So that gave me a newfound, the respect was already there, but that gave me even a more eye-opening, like, wow, like these dudes really put, when you hear Band of Brothers, I don't know many people that would do what they do. And so I ran across this guy, and I was just checking him out, listening to some, his shows are long. Shortest show I seen was of Eric Prince, who was the CEO of Blackwater. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with that, there was a Blackwater massacre, which they just, it pisses me off that the government would spend $50 million to go through 3 trials where these guys were acquitted 3 times until they finally got a guilty verdict. These guys served our country. They were vets that worked for a contractor. They just didn't get picked up off the street, and as the media made them out to be trigger happy people, it was just fucked up all the way around. There's a good episode on them, but Eric Prince, who was the CEO, that's probably the shortest episode I've seen him have, and it's 3 hours long. this show that I'm going to play, it's going to be a snippet, and it's probably 45 minutes to an hour long, but it's going to talk about probably one of the most historical gunfights between the Navy SEALs and some Al Qaeda, uh, groups. And what had happened was just mind blowing. If you were to go online and YouTube, this is a completely separate incident from that, but one of the first recorded Medal of Honors for one of the Navy SEALs. And, remember, these guys are one of the most highly trained, highly, not just respected, but, all training in combat. And no matter what, they're in their backyard, meaning Al Qaeda, meaning these terrorists. Yes, they're fighting for a cause that they truly believe in, and every Navy SEAL will say they respect the shit out of those guys because they're fighting for an idea that they believe in, so much so that they're willing to kill themselves over it. We're not asking our troops to go in and kill themselves for it, but we're putting them in a lot of dangerous situations to where, hey, write your death letter. That's a pretty fucking sombering thing to tell somebody. This mission that they were on was not expected to be like that, but this is one of the most historical gunfights in the history of the Navy SEALs. So, if you find this kind of stuff interesting, stick around for the entire thing, because this is coming from one of the guys that was there, and then there's another episode of the guy who they're going to be talking about the most, one of their team members who they just thought, like, the dude's dead, and he survived. And what I find so admirable about these guys is that they overcome a lot of these messed up injuries, and they're able to start nonprofit organizations that help vets. And that to me is just, yeah, that to me right there is just awesome. The gentleman who made this show, he is a former Navy SEAL and former CIA contractor. So, he could relate with these guys as far as the training goes, as far as, the intel gathered, as far as being deployed. And you never know if you're going to make it back. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys catch a little something about it for those of you who aren't, familiar with the military. And you just got to give it up to these guys, man, who are serving their country. So without further ado, this is the Sean Ryan Show. And hell of a guy for coming up with this. So he has interviewed some big names in the short amount of time, and I'm glad to see that his channel has grown. And support him by coming to Patreon. Dude's awesome. So here we go, guys. A little bit about this. Vigilant Elite is his company. He makes gummy bears legal in all 50 states. So there are no cannabis gummy bears or anything like that. He makes a lot of supplements, things like that for people. But this kind of gives you a playlist. So you can see here, this episode was 4 hours and 30 minutes long. The part that I'm going to play is called Second Deployment, and it's going to run from 50 minutes to an hour and 36 minutes. So you're talking about 45, 44 minutes long, somewhere around there. But yeah, very interesting. This was one of the SEAL Team 6 members. He wasn't there when they captured Osama. This was on his second deployment. As you could imagine, guys who qualify, there's multiple levels of SEAL Team or SEAL Team teams. SEAL Team 1, SEAL Team 3, SEAL Team 4, SEAL Team 8 and 9, I believe it is. And they all are deployed throughout the world for different things. SEAL Team 6 is the lead of the SEAL teams. And I forgot what Dev Group stands for. I want to say Breachers and something else. I forgot off the top of my head. But he was involved with another man who they're going to be talking about extensively. His name was Jason Redmond, and he is also on here as well which if you guys find this interesting enough and if you want to hear the story firsthand account of Jason Redman, I could play that as well. It's a little bit shorter than this one, but he was the one that they're going to be talking about who received the brunt of this attack, which was just how he's still alive is a miracle. So without further ado, here we go.
All right, DJ, so we're back from your first deployment, and it's 2007. I think you're 22 years old now, and you're getting ready to go back to Iraq again for a second time. And you found yourself in somewhat of a historic firefight that's been talked about a lot. So I'd love to get your take on what happened and how that deployment went.
Yeah, kind of leading up to that, we'll kind of segue back to it. We, on our turnover up when we first flew in there, so we had our platoon, our sister platoon, and we were relieving SEAL Team 4. So that was Mike Day's platoon. So our turnover op with our sister platoon is when Mike Day's incident happened. He got shot 27 times.
Shit.
That's how we kicked off the deployment.
That's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hey, man.
So we had one of the guys in the sister platoon got shot, got medically retired, took a crazy round through the arm, and it had a bunch of nerve damage and it balled his hand up. He's out, and he was one of our corpsmen too. He's an awesome dude. So we automatically lost him, and we basically just combined forces.
Were you on that operation?
I wasn't. That was
No?
our sister platoon, and it was one of the handover ops. So it was Team 4 heavy, and then a little bit of Team 10. You know, the HQ element, a couple of senior guys just to see how they did business. These are what the routes are like. This is what the target set's like. And it just so happened they were going after an AQ cell that had just shot down a Marine helo. So they had all their guns, had their body armor, had helmets, had night vision, had the whole thing.
Fuck.
So we kind of rode that wave pretty much the whole deployment. It was super busy, a different area, working for the West Coast teams. So it was great. We were busy, like super busy. And it felt like how I thought it would feel.
Really?
Yeah.
Like this is what you envisioned when you joined?
Like even some of the animosity stuff, like we'd go to the chow hall and they'd bitch about it because we'd come in wearing tank tops and now you got to wear, like even the stuff we would complain about, it made you feel like, I feel like a Navy SEAL now.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm in a strike force, like this is how it's supposed to feel, like we're gelling, we're going out every night, like this is what it is. But the reality hadn't set in yet on what we're actually doing because it hasn't happened to you yet. So it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
A couple months into deployment, we're steady, engaging with the enemy, it's fine. And one night we go out and we're in a really bad section.
Where were you guys at?
Just outside of Fallujah, but we were operating this little town called Karma.
Okay.
And it was good, but a lot of palm groves, a lot of nasty shit out there. We were not trained to do. So kind of come into play later about our inexperience. But one night we do an offset infill. We're patrolling a target and we get about 200 meters out and you could see the entire posture shift of everybody in that assault force. Everybody switched. You could smell it. Like this is a fucking ambush. Like it just is. Walking down the road, the houses we were walking past, like you were waiting. It was a breath hold the entire way. And I say that because people started doing things they've never done before. The pace they were moving, we've never moved at that pace before. When we would do patrolling and training, like there's a lackadaisical patrol and there's a patrol to contact, like we're gonna get hit right now. Everybody was in patrol to contact mode. Like it's happening right now. You're waiting for a trade to throw RD sims and kick the whole thing off. Like it's right there. And I remember the last 50 feet sprinting to the building. They had a big overhang and we've been getting ISR updates. There's multiple guys on the roof. You're like, okay. So as we patrol up, there's a bunch of guys in the courtyard of this and it's an Iranian influence cell that we're kind of going after now and they fight completely different. We locked down some guys on these sleepers out in the courtyard and we maneuver up. Made silent entry. We go in, we're doing our whole clearance, and I bolt straight for the stairs. It's a huge open room. I don't know how to describe it. Just a huge open room with little offshoot bedrooms. Made no sense to be a house. It was like a structure. And they had a two-tier landing that came up and banked, and then it basically just opened into the roof. Just an opening in the middle of the roof, and you walked up and you're surrounded 360, 720 by the roof. Stacked up the train and got it right there, right at the last little breach of it. So I'm about this high underneath it. And I stood up and threw on my laser, and there was a dude sprinting at me at full blast with a pistol in his hand and unloaded 6 shots at me.
No shit.
Yeah, so he unloaded. I unloaded on him, got off 3 rounds in a bolt lock. So dropped to my knees and we called exfil. Ran around the back. Everybody got their guns up and running, and grenades started coming off the roof. So in rally, what had happened is...
So hold on. Did you eliminate the threat?
Yep.
He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hit you?
He did.
He did hit you.
He hit me in the chest plate in one of the magazines. So pistol caliber, like 45, dead center. Dead center. So snagged me there, which I don't know how he did it, with a downward angle because that was presented. So blind luck, snagged me in the plates, we're good. I don't know where the other 5 went. I don't know how they didn't hit anybody else. But I mean, he was probably within 6 feet. I mean, he was there. What you didn't realize, in the ISR update we did not get, is he was standing at the base of the stairs waiting. They never told us that. He's standing there waiting for us to come up. And there is another shooter in a sandbag position with a belt fed, a PK, aimed at the top of the stairs. And he's pulled off a suicide vest and laid it at the base of the stairs and pulled back a command wire. And you can see him. He's holding it. He's waiting to clack it off. And we never know. So if I would have made entry, if I shot that dude and would have continued to go, that guy would have cut me in half. So just blind luck that I got bolt lock and I forced to retreat. So we start trading grenades on the roof back and forth. A bunch of different maneuver elements are happening. We've got 3 or 4 guys that are fragged from the grenades, our chief included, I think a corpsman, our terp, our JTAC. So a bunch of guys. Not bad, but bad enough. I mean, it's your first time being wounded, like, takes you by surprise. Like, you're wounded eagle, it's like, oh no. Like, how bad? You instantly think the worst. But we had to win the fight. So we're trading grenades on the roof, we're doing that whole thing. And one of the guys wanted to send one of the mams from the courtyard. He grabs him, terp, perfect English. He's like, I know who that is. Oh yeah? And he's like, it's my cousin. Like, terp tells him again, like, send that dude up there and tell him to tell his cousin to come down here. Like, we don't know who's up there. The slant was really weird that night with how many women and kids were supposed to be there. It was bad intel. It was kind of just hodgepodge, and we sent that dude back up there. And he's calling out to his cousin, you know, whatever he's saying, and he got halfway up the stairs and poked his head up, and that dude let it go. Killed his own cousin. And here we go. More grenades are coming off the roof. So the whole force now, we're basically locked down inside of this building and grenades are coming off. We don't know how many dudes are on the roof. And now there's multiple maneuver elements of bad guys in and around the city. And we have to fall back now. We got a super badass new guy posted up with a saw. Basically, everybody wants that opportunity. Rock the front of this building so we can all run underneath it. That dude stepped out and just sent it. We all ran back and we got our first fire mission in. Like a first, like, no shit fire mission.
Damn.
So that was cool. I didn't know I'd been hit yet.
You didn't know you'd been hit yet?
Mm-mm. I had no idea. I kept having a bolt lock. So I'd fire 3 rounds, bolt lock. I dumped out a mag, grabbed a new one, and when I did, it cut my fingers. So where the round hit it, it had blown out the back of it, like a big spider web. So when I grabbed it, it filleted my hands open. So I dropped the mag, grabbed a new one, got the gun back up and running, and for whatever reason, I grabbed it off the ground and put it in my back pocket. I don't know why I did it. I did it. So when we got back on the helo, we're flying out after that whole thing. We got all the medevac guys out. They were fine, minimal injuries, nothing crazy. We're flying back on the helo and I'm sitting next to Jay Redmond, And I held up the mag and I'm trying to focus it with my nods back and forth. And I don't know what it is. Like it never even entered my conscious thought that I took a round there.
Damn.
I didn't know what it was. Put it back in my pocket and we get back to the ready room and we're going in for the debrief. And I dropped my gear and I looked at it and it's still in disbelief. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I hand it to one of the other guys and he's like, that's a fucking bullet, dude. Oh, that is a bullet. That is a bullet. Dead center. But it was weird when you look at the bullet and the angle it came into. We did a lot of breaching back then. We landed a lot. I used to run around with the charges capped in. And I had them all capped in and I had my primary charges in a pouch right there. And it nicked the edge of the pouch where the caps were exposed to. So obviously if it would have hit that blasting cap, that would have been a hole.
Damn.
That would have been a bad day.
So for the audience, just real quick, I'm just going to interrupt. When he's talking about the caps being exposed, basically a breaching charge is a bomb, you know, that they use to blow a door, blow a hole in the wall, blow whatever up. And the blasting caps are extremely sensitive. So if that would have hit one of those, it would have been end of the road for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were running on big charges and we blew everything. We blew everything. That was the SOP back then. If you could blow it, you blew it.
So you didn't even fucking feel. You didn't even feel the fact that you got fucking pegged by a 45 in the chest plate.
So thinking back on it, the guys behind me said they saw me. Like, take a reflex. I didn't feel it. The next morning, when I stood up and I arched back, it felt like I did too many sit-ups, like sore in the sternum. Kind of hard to take a full breath, but nothing like what you'd imagine. Like I imagine I would have known instantly, like, oh my God. I didn't. The adrenaline was so high that's kind of what we use for like a training analogy now. Like when that adrenaline dumps, you won't know.
Yeah.
You won't know. Like in a proximity, a gunfight that is that close, where you see muzzle flash and you feel it, it's very different. It's not being shot at from 300 meters. It's not hitting the wall. It's inside of 6 feet. It's a very different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been shot. I don't know, you know, what that feels like, but I always imagined it would knock you on your fucking ass.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shit.
So, yeah, we got through that one. That was like reality is set in now. And it's like, okay, all the stuff in training now everything is slowed down. The CQB is super crisp now. It's all real world. We're very current. And it's good. Like business is great. We're going out every night, every other night. We've got assets. It's awesome. As good as it ever could have been. And we go back. This is, so the firefight you were referencing was the one with Jay Redmond and those guys. That was September 10th. So almost on the anniversary. And everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but in a positive way. Zero loom. There wasn't an ounce of moonlight out, nothing. And for the guys that don't run around with night vision, those things aren't perfect. They're not, man. You don't have any ambient light out there. Like, they don't work very well. They just don't. So we were going back to the exact same spot, 2 houses down from where that thing happened. So we called it the Karma House. Like, bad karma, here we go. And we were going to land on the X. We're gonna blow the front door and take this thing down hard. That's what we did back then. So flying helos right to the front door, and this is what we're doing. And we knew from past experiences exactly what kind of resistance we were going to meet, and we planned for the worst. Like I went in on that thing completely knowing in that first room I was going to get shot.
Damn.
Like they had belt feds, they had suicide vests, like these guys are committed for sure. If we go in right now, that first room is going to be sketchy. And we landed on the X and we ran through that thing like we've done a million other times, and there was no one there. Dry hole. And then we get an update that all those guys had left and had ran out the back. And now they're in adjacent, essentially a cornfield. But if you imagine, imagine an endless field of nothing, just a plowed field. And then right in the middle of it is about 500 yards of 6 foot tall, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's like straw, but it's not. I mean, you can't see anything. And they're trying to walk us down on top of this guy. So we all switch over. It's probably 6 or 7 of us. And we all get online and we're all starting to walk down. We've all switched over to fires and we're listening. And 2 of the new guys and 1 of the EOD guys had not switched over to fires. We literally interlocked arms. That's how bad it was. You couldn't see shit. We couldn't lose anybody inside there. We'd never walked through the palm groves before. We didn't have a dog. We didn't have the experience. And looking back on it, it's one of the most dangerous things I've ever done. Because you knew the guy in there had a gun. Like, for sure. You knew that they run around with S-Vest and you know they're committed. So now we are walking on there. So if you imagine just a big open field with a big sparkle in the center of it, and we're going to walk towards it. And we're going to walk until we find this guy. Okay. So we do. Completely committed, interlocked arms, and we are walking forward and we're getting the updates. 15 feet. 10 feet. You're standing on him. And you see everybody looking down like, he's not here. 3rd person from the right, you are standing on him. And we all look over to the right, nothing. Like, what the fuck? So we're all on a line, standing right there. And Jay calls an audible. He's like, whole maneuver element, take a right-hand turn, because we know there's an open field. We just have to cross, and now it's completely open. Now we can regather our shit, and we can assault from this side. By walking through all this crazy brush, we can approach it from the open side and just walk in the brush a little bit, maybe call him out, do something else. And when we turn right, this element stayed. They didn't get the word. So now we have a bad guy, our element, and then another element. Now we're in a Polish ambush. We turn, we walk out, and we enter this beautiful manicured open field. There's not an ounce of cover anywhere in it. There's not a rut. There's nothing. There's not a rock. There's a single tire, and it's about 20 feet, 30 feet from the edge of the brush line. It's just out there, and we're standing there in a team guy gaggle, standing around like wondering, what the fuck? Is this guy really there? Is it a dog? Is it some animal? Like, these guys are clearly lost. And we don't realize that that bad guy is in there, probably 6 feet inside, and he's looking at us. And we're from the middle of the wall, and we're close. We're having a full-on conversation, and at one point, we're trying to relay to the other guys, because now we know we've lost 3. Now they're lost in brush country, and we have to reconsolidate them so we can deal with this guy. Because now we know the reality. We've turned the entire profile. Blue forces, bad guy, blue forces. We've got all the rest of the guys over here on the west side. And now we're trying to do a link up. Like, we have to get them around to reconsolidate with us. The blue force picture and knowing where everybody is it's challenging at times, but you really have to know then. We basically walked right up to the edge. It's Jay's there, our corpsman, our terp, the JTAC, and a guy we'll just call Matty is standing there with me, and we're all in kind of a team guy gaggle. And Jay hears something in the bushes, and I think he believed at the time it was the guys. And he screamed out, "Hey." And when he did, that dude let off the biggest Hollywood belt-fed burst I've ever heard. And
So what he
believed at the time it was the guys. And he screamed out, "Hey." And when he did, that dude let off the biggest Hollywood belt-fed burst I've ever heard.
Oh,
and
shit.
Everybody dropped. It was like, we used to do the new guy scenarios. You know, you're doing land warfare, the first contact and all the head shed dies. And now you got to drag around like, you know, playing war games. That's what it was like. Everybody hit the deck. And there was a tree probably 30 feet that way. And I remember I turned, I heard it, watched them drop, and I was sprinting so fast to that thing. I remember the dust kicking up in front of me when he was tracking me. I dove behind the tree and he pounded on that tree for what seemed like an eternity. I was on my back looking up. I mean, you can imagine, helmet's cockeyed, there's no ambient light, I can't see shit through my nods, and there's just dirt blowing all over me. I mean, I am consumed by this. I don't even know where he's at now. I don't know if he's on his feet chasing me down, like I'm just overcome with withering fucking fire. And then it stops. And he pans back over and he starts to engage the dudes. This thing goes on for a little bit, and we're trying to reconsolidate. The JTAC has went out and he's trying to grab people now. He's behind a tire. I remember looking over and seeing Jay, and I remember him sitting upright, and I watched him get shot one more time, right in the face, and it looked like that was it. He hit the ground so hard, you knew he was dead.
So his snippet is only 6 minutes long, 7 minutes long, but just from his telling and his point of view, you'll get a good idea of the rest of the story that transpired during this firefight. So this is Jason Redman, one of the SEAL Team 6 members who they're talking about, who really just, caught it rough. And a testament to him surviving, man, because wow. I mean, this is just insane. So without any cuts, pauses, or whatever, let's just jump to this. And you can see how the reconstructive surgery and everything on his face. Bullet entered the back where he's pointing, came out his cheek, took off his nose, took off his eye. The dude survived. I mean, wow.
Looking back on it is one of the most dangerous things I've ever done.
I don't know why I did that.
Because you knew the guy in there had a gun.
So as we're pushing out that corner, I was now closer to the front, myself and the interpreter, DJ, our medic, one of the other guys, Matt.
So if you imagine just a big open field with a big sparkle in the center of it, and we're going to walk towards it. And we're going to walk until we find this guy. Okay. So we do. Completely committed, interlocked arms, and we are walking forward, and we're getting the updates. 15 feet. 10 feet. You're standing on him.
It was about that time. I'm now out in the open, myself and the interpreter, and push to the left to start moving down, to the west to link up with those three guys.
At one point, we're trying to relay to the other guys, because now we know we've lost 3. Now they're lost in brush country, and we have to reconsolidate them so we can deal with this guy. Because now we know the reality. We've turned the entire profile. Blue forces, bad guy, blue forces.
And right as our medic is coming out of the vegetation, he literally stepped right on an enemy fighter. This enemy fighter rolls over and goes to engage him, and he shoots him. And that started that gunfight. The whole world erupted at that point.
And everybody dropped. It was like, we used to do the new guy scenarios. You're doing land warfare, the first contact and all the head shed dies. And now you got to drag around like, playing war games.
So at this point now, I'm out front, the interpreter's out front. There's at least one other guy with us that's out front. And what we didn't realize is we were directly in the kill zone.
That dude let off the biggest Hollywood belt-fed burst I've ever heard.
Luke was the first one shot, took a round right below the knee. He had a compound fracture. Bone came out and anchored him right into the ground.
I remember looking over and seeing Jay, and I remember him sitting upright, and I watched him get shot one more time, right in the face, and it looked like that was it.
I was stitched across the body armor, 2 rounds in the left elbow. I took rounds off my gun, rounds off my helmet, had my left night vision tube shot off.
Holy shit.
Turned to try and move back to the tire at this point. And I guess that's when I caught the round from behind that hit me in the face. So it caught me right in front of the ear, traveled through my face, took off most of my nose.
He hit the ground so hard, you knew he was dead.
Vaporized my orbital floor, broke all the bones above my eye, shattered the head of my jaw, broke the head of my jaw and shattered my jaw down to my chin and knocked me out. And Jay and those guys saw that. They saw me fall. So they thought I was dead.
There's an audible that has to be made. We have the JTAC and behind this tractor tire. But I mean, it's a tractor tire. It's not big. It's about that high off the ground. Serves no purpose. And he's behind it, and I'm directly adjacent from him looking at him. Like, I have an out this way. We can't because we have all these dudes that are shot up. And I remember it was like the scene from Black Hawk Down. Come to me. Fuck you, come to me.
I'm unconscious at this point, not aware of that. And this gunfight's now raging. Like, they're behind the tire and the tree, and they're just, you know, raging gunfight about, I don't know, 15, 20 yards, 15 yards. I mean, it was pretty close.
Apart?
Apart. Yeah, from where the tire and the tree was to this vegetation where these guys are. But we can't see them. All you can see is muzzle flashes.
So Jay's been shot multiple times. He's discombobulated, he's talking, and this guy's still trying to shoot him, but he can't see shit because it's black. So if you're quiet, he can't hear you. The bravest thing I have ever seen in 17 years happened on that night. I watched Matty get up and run forward after he'd already been shot and grab our corpsman and is dragging him backwards. Just like out in the movies. Corpsman pulls out his pistol and is shooting into this bush line. And Matty gets shot again. Boom, spins him around and dumps him. He gets back up, grabs him and gets shot again. Dumps him and he gets back up and continued to drag him back until we got them all back to the tractor tire. You know, we're all pulling him in there and we basically just dogpiled on him. Just plates on plates. Just trying to build up a human wall to not let these people be shot again.
I come to at whatever point. The gunfight we know lasted 30 to 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes.
And he's still shooting us the entire time. He hasn't let up. He just doesn't know where we're at now. So if we can keep everybody quiet, we've got hands over mouths, like people are screaming. We had, the corpsman got shot through tib fib, shattered his leg.
I don't know how long I was unconscious, maybe 10 minutes. So I come to at this point and I knew I was way fucked up. Like when I got shot in the arm, like that fucking hurt a lot. As a matter of fact, I thought my arm was shot off. After I'd been shot in the face, when I came to, I really wasn't feeling any pain. I just was fucked up. I was trying to like, okay, where am I? What's happening? And then kind of the world started to open back up and like, I could hear the gunfire. Jason
shot in the leg and the side plates. I think he took a double stack to the elbow, so it blew out his entire arm. And then he took one to the face that basically removed his jaw, removed his nose, and you could look inside him.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the
All right, sorry about that, guys. So, here we go for the remainder of the story. Going to 136. We're at 111. And this story is pretty deep.
There's an audible that has to be made. We have the JTAC and behind this tractor tire. But I mean, it's a tractor tire. It's not big. It's about that high off the ground. Serves no purpose. And he's behind it, and I'm directly adjacent from him looking at him. Like, I have an out this way. We can't because we have all these dudes that are shot up. And I remember it was like the scene from Black Hawk Down. Come to me. Fuck you, come to me. Ready? Yep. And I got up and I ran as fast as I could and I dove like a baseball slider in behind that thing. And it was such a sigh of relief to feel another human next to me. I was so thankful that he was there. And now we have to figure out how to get out there and bring those people back here. And this whole thing's happening very, very fast. So Jay's been shot multiple times. He's discombobulated, he's talking, and this guy's still trying to shoot him, but he can't see shit because it's black. So if you're quiet, he can't hear you. The bravest thing I have ever seen in 17 years happened on that night. I watched Matty get up and run forward after he'd already been shot and grab our corpsman and is dragging him backwards. Just like out in the movies. Corpsman pulls out his pistol and is shooting into this bush line. And Matty gets shot again. Boom, spins him around and dumps him. He gets back up, grabs him and gets shot again. Dumps him and he gets back up and continued to drag him back until we got them all back to the tractor tire. You know, we're all pulling him in there and we basically just dogpiled on him. just plates on plates.
So what I want to do right here is this. I don't know how many of my viewers on here are military. How many of you guys find something like this interesting? Because to me, it's fascinating. It brings, it makes my eyes welt up. Just because I worked with people like this every single day for 10 years, just about. And yeah. If this kind of stuff interests you, please let me know, because this is going to be part 1. It's a pretty long, like I said, it's long. But I want to know what you guys think after watching something like this. I don't ask this very often of you guys, but, if you want a part 2, let me know in the comments. It's not me trying to ask for comments. It's not me trying to ask for likes. You could like, dislike, you could do whatever you feel. But if something like this and what these guys go through and why it's important to support our vets, let me know if you want to hear the second part of this, because this is just, we only hear about these missions that are internationally well known, but we don't hear about the steps that it takes to get to capturing, a Saddam Hussein, the steps that it takes to capture and kill Osama bin Laden. Each and every one of these missions was to get to that point, to take out his point men who are going to be telling them he's here, he's there. And each and every one of these SEAL Team 6 members, now that it's well known how, well trained, and how, after what they did to our country in 2001, a lot of people who weren't around at that time would just blow it off and like, oh, it's just a bad day in history, this and that. I guarantee you the people in Pearl Harbor weren't thinking like that a few years after that shit happened. Yes, did we get the last Orion? We're dropping the bombs on them. Yeah, we did, but it changed the course of history forever with atomic weapons. Now that we do it special ops wise, these guys are going to have to go through it with the rest of their lives. You don't see them smiling. You don't see them, their eyes lighting up. You see pain in the PTSD, and that's the shit that I dealt with working with these guys and trying to interject some hope for their civilian transition. So if you guys want to see the second part of this, by all means, please let me know. Give them a subscribe like I did. Give them a like. If you have the money, I know times are tough these days, show them your thanks. And if not, become a Patreon. But yeah, until then, I'll be on standby waiting to see what people have to say. And I hope part of you finds this interesting and wants to hear more. So I will be back once I hear back from you guys. I'm out.